Hello, beloveds. Today we are talking from Fundamentals of Unicult from page 84, second edition, about fun and pleasure. This is a very short chapter, so I'm going to read it aloud, and then we're going to talk about some of the ways that this can affect you and some of the ways that this can benefit you. The universe wants you to have fun. Fun and pleasure are in alignment with joy and divine source energy. Just as in all things, make sure your fun and pleasure are led first and foremost by the whims and true desires of your heart. Be respectful to all and harm none, including yourself. Fun and pleasure are our indicators that we are on the path to joy. Joy is the point of Unicult. Joy is the point of life. You are allowed to have fun. Enjoy yourself. Some people find it to be very easy to access their joy. Some people find it to be very easy to access playful energy. Some people really don't seem to take the world very seriously, and they don't sit in contemplation over the world's deepest questions. Some people feel like it's easy to let go and have fun and just be joyous. And if you are one of these people, then you are very blessed, because your trauma has not impacted you in such a way that you feel that you will be punished for being happy. Because our world is dictated and led first and foremost by trauma, a lot of us were raised to understand that our trauma, our pain, was reality, whereas our joy and our pleasure was something that would be punished, was something that would put us in danger. A lot of people who have had childhood trauma have a hard time letting go, letting loose, and having fun. They might have social anxiety, they might have depression, they might have trouble trusting the universe, and they might have trouble just letting go and letting loose without substances or other addictions. If you are one of these people who had difficult childhood trauma that now prevents you from experiencing joy, experiencing getting lost in the moment, experiencing pure happiness and play, there is hope for you. To access your joy, to access your playful energy, is really about trusting in the universe. It's really about trusting that the universe wants you to have fun. Someone told me this the other day. They said, "My higher power wants me to be happy, joyous, and free." It was something I heard in an addiction recovery. And as I've been going through my addiction recovery, I've met lots of other addicts, and my ability to have a stigma for addiction has disappeared because I've seen so much compassion and humanity in the addicts that I've met. Addiction is an attempt to have fun. Addiction is an attempt to let go, because we feel, people who are addicts feel that they can't let go, not all, but many, feel like they can't let go and simply enjoy the pleasures of life. Because when they were a child, the pleasures of life were taken from them, threatened, or punished. I think when we talk about fun and pleasure, it's important to talk about addiction. It's important to talk about the ways in which we access our fun and pleasure, because it's not something that is easily accessible to us in this world because we have lost it. What happens during childhood trauma is that the child is taken out of the flow state. The flow state is pleasure. The flow state is joy. The flow state is happiness. What is the flow state? It's the state of being where you are in the present moment, you are feeling contentment, you are feeling engaged with what's in front of you. You aren't preoccupied with worry, the past, or the future. Instead, you are just in your body playing. And the child who is in that state is a divine being, and then something traumatic happens. And the child realizes that they are not safe to be in that state. it takes the child brain out of the present moment, out of the flow state, out of the joy, and it takes it into a higher vantage point of attempting to plan the past and plan the future, and assuming that we have control. There's a fallacy here because the child is not really responsible for the trauma. The child is not really responsible for their parent being in a bad mood or their parent lashing out at them. Parents should be able to hold a space of unconditional patience and unconditional love for their child, but that's just not how it works. It's just not how it is. Most people who decide to have kids are not ascended masters. And that's okay, because we're on earth. But impatience, anger, frustration that gets projected onto the child then takes on to mean that it's their responsibility to fix. And when the child thinks that they have control over their surroundings, over the mood and feelings and opinion of others, not only at that point is it important that they get the love and the care and the patience and the compassion from their parent, but it's essential because it's literally a life or death situation. If a child can't get the love of the parent, they are at jeopardy of dying. They are at jeopardy of being theoretically, genetically, historically abandoned, not taken care of, malnourished, etc. It is literally a life or death situation. So the child takes childhood trauma very seriously, and the child says, I am responsible for this. What can I do to fix it? What can I do so that my parents love me, so that my parents care for me? How can I make my own needs smaller? How can I learn to monitor and mitigate my behavior so that my parents behave in a way that I feel safe with? And so the child learns all kinds of manipulative tactics, both for themselves and for the parent, to shrink themselves, to contort their way of being, to express themselves, so that they can ensure that connection between them and their caregiver. This is a very difficult thing. We really don't give children very much credit for even being conscious, right? We're just like, oh, just kids, like whatever. But to imagine the burden that is placed on children who are in abusive situations, which is most of them, and to imagine the responsibility and the fear and what's at stake of their genetic and biological response to knowing inherently and instinctively that if they don't please their parents, that they will be abandoned, that they will literally die. This is really important to acknowledge, the severity of childhood trauma, the severity of what it does to our consciousness, because it sets us up to understand not just our relationship with our parents. It's not like we just grow up and we say, oh, that was a wacky situation. Our relationship with our parents shapes our reality. It shapes how we see the world. It shapes how we interact with other people, and it shapes the access that we have to trust and safety. And trust and safety are the key that you have to have before you can just let loose and have fun and pleasure. And that's where addiction comes in. Because when you are unable to trust the universe, when you're unable to feel cared for and safe in your body, in your reality that was formulated however long ago as a child, you will do anything to try to reach that state. And drugs and alcohol sometimes help us on that path to accessing these feelings of freedom from our trauma. Addiction is, this is not my quote, but it's a good one. Addiction is a very real attempt to solve a very real problem. And the issue with addiction is that we're actually avoiding processing our trauma. We're actually avoiding the discomfort of the repetition of our trauma, and we're actually avoiding looking at the root of the responsibility, which oftentimes we still, as adults, feel like it's our fault that the world is the way that it is, or that people don't like us, or that people always abandon us, or that we can't trust the universe. It's like, what's wrong with me? It's not you. That was something that you learned as a child when your parents lashed out at you or were mean to you or neglected you. It is actually a trauma repetition that you're playing out. Trauma gets encoded in our DNA and in our bodies and in our patterns. And as we grow up, we actually replay that trauma because in a weird way, it's what makes us feel safe. In a weird way, it is what we think of as safe because that's what we grew up in. When you are repeating patterns that happened to you as a child from a metaphorical standpoint or a symbolic standpoint with other people acting as your mirrors of mom or dad or sister or brother, you are actually just replaying what you feel is safe because that's what you grew up thinking is reality. In order to truly experience pleasure and joy and freedom and happiness and play, you have to acknowledge that these repeating instances of your trauma are coming from you. And not that it's not valid that you're repeating them, you are literally programmed with your childhood trauma, with your childhood reality, with your relationship with your parents as a child, to expect this reality. But we're in a new world now, and we have the capability to change our consciousness. We have the capability to rewrite our DNA. We have the ability to heal. We have the ability to do the shadow work of healing our trauma, of healing our addictions, and of finding the joy and the freedom and the trust of the present moment again, which allows us to let loose and have fun. It is not easy, if you have been traumatized, to have fun. I remember the first time that I experienced joy after I tried to kill myself. I hadn't experienced joy for probably 5 years. Not a single iota of bright joy in my heart. And then I went to a fair, a county fair, and I saw all the lights and the rides, and it was so beautiful, and I felt high with the joy of the moment and of the beauty. A lot of my old music videos actually have footage from that night because I was so enraptured with the environment and its ability to truly make me feel safe enough to feel joy. And that moment, in that moment, that is one of the moments that made me realize that joy is the most important thing that we should be striving for in our realities. And if we don't have the goal of joy, we don't have the goal of fun and pleasure, what are we doing here? Because that feeling is truth. There is no fear and pain in the higher realms. Literally, the earth is so strange. I can't even begin to tell you how strange earth is. But we have literally convinced ourselves that fear and pain are more real than the freedom and the trust and the peace and the joy and the play of God, of Uni, of our spirits. Your heart, why do you think children are born so funny and so happy and so playful? I don't mean like little babies. They have a hard time. But kids are hilarious and they're connected to magic. That is our true state. They are fresh from source. When a child is born and they are playful and fun and having imaginary friends and connected to fairies and imagining all these things and holding hands with everybody and just being connected to their bodies, that is how we can be too. We lose it because of trauma. That's it. The spirit of Uni wants you to be happy, joyous, and free. The spirit of Uni is love. You can trust the universe to keep you safe. And you might say, Unicole, I haven't been safe. I've been abused, I've been neglected, I've been cheated on, I've been betrayed, I've been hit, I've been beat, maybe you've had your fingers cut off, whatever. But what's real, your soul, your actual soul, has never been in danger. You are eternal life. Your body might be maimed, your spirit on earth might be bludgeoned by trauma. Yeah, those things are valid, those things are true, and it's not fun, and I don't think we should perpetuate it or continue it. But the reality of the situation is that you have always been safe. What is eternal, what matters forever, has always been protected because it cannot be hurt, because it is not hurt. It is love, it is purity, it is fullness. As you learn to acknowledge your trauma, as you learn to acknowledge your patterns, as you learn to acknowledge your disembodied state of obsessing with the past or the future, anxiety, worry, fear, depression, and as you learn to be here now, to realize that the most dense eternity is actually in this very moment. Look at the amount of data that exists in this moment. Textures, sounds, colors, information, thoughts, feelings, sensations. It is far more interesting than anything that's actually happening in the past or the future. This moment is the one that we are meant to be living in. This moment is the one that we are meant to feel safe in. As you feel safe, as you connect to your highest reality, as you connect to the truth of the universe, which is that anything that matters is eternal, anything that matters is always divinely protected, you can let go of your fear and you can start laughing. I laugh at the face of death. I laugh at people who make fun of me. I have compassion and understanding for people who are in pain, but I don't let it affect me because I know that in the highest realms, we are all one. I hold hands with my brothers and sisters and siblings, no matter who they are or what they're feeling and what they're regurgitating onto me. I'm at a privileged state because I'm an adult and I'm not depending on other people for my survival. And it's because of that privileged state of being able to depend on myself that I am able to overcome my trauma. I am able to overcome my addiction. I'm able to work through those difficult emotions of connecting again to the present moment, of trusting that the reason why I don't feel safe in the present moment is because of something that is no longer happening, that's just a trauma repetition that I have been playing out since I was an infant. And I can learn to integrate that and say, that was a shitty thing that happened to me, and I can overcome it. And in that space of overcoming addiction, in that space of learning how to sit in stillness and meditate and feel, and in that space of trusting that I am safe, that I have always been safe, I can then let go and have fun and pleasure. And that is one of the greatest gifts that I have ever been given on my spiritual journey. Because of my trauma, was someone who stood on the wall at parties and just glared at everyone. It was very rare that I could connect to fun. It was very rare that I could connect to letting loose or feeling safe to laugh or play. Connecting to our child selves and asking our child selves what they would like to do. You can do this by writing with your left hand or your non-dominant hand. Ask yourself a question with your dominant hand and then write the answer with your non-dominant hand from your childhood self place. That is a powerful way to understand. You say, I don't know how to access my child self. I repressed them so long ago. I told them they were not allowed to be a child. I had to grow up super fast. I had to take care of my siblings. I had to take care of my parents. I had to, be the backbone of my family at the age of 5. Maybe all these things happened to you and you repressed your childhood truth. You became the person that your environment said you had to be. And all those things are valuable for navigating the world. If you had to take care of your family at the age of 5, you're going to be an extremely competent person in many ways, and you're going to probably be an addict or have a lot of really outrageous behaviors in another way because you are not balanced. You have to give your childhood self space to exist. You have to give your childhood self space to breathe. And by doing that, you will literally free them from the shackles that were placed on them in their childhood trauma. Connect to your childhood self by asking them what they want. Imagine who they are. Get the toys that you loved to play with as a kid. I got some Lincoln Logs, and it was so powerful for me because I had them as a kid, and it connected me to feeling safe and feeling creative and feeling playful as a child. Where are the things that you have inside your consciousness, deep inside your heart, that you have always held to be true? One of the reasons why Unicult has the preface Uni is because I love unicorns. I've always loved unicorns. And my love for unicorns has never left me, no matter how hard I tried to be this cynical, badass, person who smokes cigarettes outside the poetry building or the art building at my college. You know what I mean? I still loved unicorns, and I still loved to wear weird pink frilly dresses, and I still loved to climb trees and spy on people. And I did all these things in college. I used to put little fake birds in my hair and climb trees and just spy on people. And that was my idea of fun because I was connecting to my childhood self, and it was the way that I felt safe to have fun. I didn't feel safe around other people. So acknowledge that you probably do have ways that you do have fun, whether it be through drugs or alcohol, whether it be through sex and love, whether it be through your own little childhood games that you play, imaginary games, or what have you. And connect back with those memories of what you did as a child to play and have fun, because that will start to unlock who you really are. Who you really brought here from source, who you really incarnated as, and not just from an ego place of how you dealt with your trauma and how you can navigate this world of trauma, but who your soul is, who your heart is. Where is your joy? Where is your play? Where is your fun? Chasing after pleasure and fun in a healthy way as you overcome your trauma is going to be one of the most rewarding things that you have ever done. Who doesn't want to have fun? Who doesn't want to be free enough to just have fun all the time? If I could give you that gift, you would be so skeptical. Before I understood this and I was traumatized, I felt like fun was ignorance. I felt like fun was overlooking the truth of reality, which is trauma. And in many ways that's true, but also in many ways, the reality, the truth is that we're supposed to be having fun. Otherwise, it wouldn't feel so good. When people say, I like to have fun. Yeah, who doesn't? That's the definition of fun, is to like to do it. When we have these feelings of pleasure and fun and happiness and joy, that is our compass telling us that that's the path we're meant to go on. That's our compass telling us this is truth. Welcome home. We are joyful beings. We are pleasurable beings. We can have fun. We are fun. We are love. We are free. We are safe. As we remember this truth, as we overcome our trauma, and we realize that our conception of pain as reality is only an ego-based conception based on trauma, we can more easily alchemize our soul into the truth of reality, which is play, which is joy, and we can alchemize and transmute all the energy so that we radiate out feelings of safety, trust, and play and fun that other people can truly connect with, that help other people. You literally will lift other people's spirits if you are in this state. You will literally change the world as you change your own consciousness to be in alignment with the truth of reality. It's okay to have fun. You are not only allowed to have fun, but it is also what I want you to do. I want you to feel joyful, happy, and free. So this week for Unicult practice, if you have your uni planner or you just want to work on a piece of paper, write down all the memories you have of having fun as a child. And that's the first part. The second part is I want you to use your left hand or your non-dominant hand to write about how your childhood self feels about fun. You're going to uncover a lot here. Does your childhood self feel safe to have fun? You can ask them. Do they feel like they're supported in having fun? And what are the blocks that your childhood self has from feeling like they want to have fun? You might not even remember. You might not have even remembered, like, oh, my mom was really busy because she was working 2 jobs and I needed to have my shit together so that she would be supported and I didn't feel like there was room for fun. Or my parents were both like workaholics and they looked down on fun and it was like a nuisance. Or whenever I was having fun, I would get, in trouble, or people would make fun of me whenever I was lost in the moment. So whatever your childhood self has as a block, you can then give love to your childhood self and say, that was never meant to happen. You were meant to be supported in who you are and what you stand for. You were meant to be supported in your joy. Thank you. Let's do our closing prayer. Spirit of Uni, we call you here to this broadcast. We call you here to bless each and every person and their childhood selves. We call to connect to our brightest joy. We call to connect to our pleasure. We call to overcome our addiction and to work through the uncomfortable feelings of acknowledging our trauma. And we call you here to guide each person today to experience a brighter and more hopeful future through connecting with their present moment of freedom, trust, joy, and pleasure. Uni bless. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you all. I hope you have an amazing time. Remember to go over to the Discord and join the Uni Brunch in the video chat chill zone. Uni bless. Thank you all for being here and have a fun day.